dog. Not a donkey. Don't be a jerk. What should you work for? Donkey, don't be a jerk. What should you work for? at the nightclub. Come here, we go boss it. Boss it!
Is this the place to be? What am I doing here? Watching the girls go by, spending money on sleep all day. It's the only way. I'm a parasite. I creep about at night. It's a scene place to be. What am I doing here? Watching the girls go by, spending money on it. I don't work, 'cause I don't have to. I don't have to work. There's no work to do. I'm a member of the nightclub. A fully paid a member of the nightclub. I won't dance in a club like this. All the girls are slags and the beer tastes just like piss. I'm a parasite. I creep about at night. Yes, I'm a member of the nightclub. A fully paid a member of the nightclub. It's a scene place to be. What am I doing here? Watching the girls go by, spending money on me. Just because you're nobody, it doesn't mean that you're no good. Just because there's a reason, it doesn't mean it's understood. It doesn't make it alright. It doesn't make it alright. It's the worst excuse in the world. And it doesn't make it alright. Some people think they're really clever to smash your head against the wall. Then they say you got it my way. They really think they know it all. It doesn't make it alright. It doesn't make it alright. It's the worst excuse in the world. And it doesn't It doesn't mean you've got to hate him. It doesn't mean you've got to fight. It doesn't make it alright. It doesn't make it alright. It's the worst excuse in the world. And it doesn't make it alright. Just because you're nobody. I'm going out tonight. I don't know if I'll be alright. Everyone wants to hurt me. Baby, danger in the city. I have to carry a knife because people threaten my life. I can't dress just the way I want. I'm being chased by the metro. Concrete jungle, animals are after me. Concrete jungle, ain't safe on the streets. Concrete jungle, glad I got my mates with me. I won't fight for a cause. I don't want to change the law. Leave me alone, just leave me alone. I wanna get out on my own. I'm walking home tonight. I only walk where there's lots of lights. In the alleys, in the doorways. Some bottle in your face. Concrete jungle, animals are after me. Concrete jungle, ain't safe on the streets. Concrete jungle, glad I got my mates with me. I'm going out tonight. Only walk where there's lots of lights. In the alleys, in the doorways. Throw a bottle straight at your face. I won't fight for a cause. I don't want to change the law. Leave me alone, just leave me alone. I wanna get out on my own. Concrete jungle, animals are after me. Concrete jungle, ain't safe on the streets. Concrete jungle, glad I got my mates with me.
Boy, I'm gonna leave that toy there, you know, cause it's too hot. Too hot. This town is too hot. Now they're calling for their guns. About to spoil the good boys' guns. But good boys never give up their guns. It's too hot. and tell them what to do.
They say they're ruder than you. In our hearts, and no man talk. You might have a company life. Choose your burial site. Take insurance, make up your will. Come out and tell them, find them. The soldiers came back to you without them. The police force are afraid. They can't even touch them. They say if you think you're bad, why don't you come out yourself? These boys are fun and fight, fighting tonight. They don't lie, it's too hot. Too hot. Too hot. Too hot. Too hot.
All right, I was going to tell you to take your seats and get ready, but everyone is totally prepared. My name is Laura Henriksen. I'm the program director here at the Poetry Project, and I'm extremely honored and delighted to be gathered this evening for readings by Kaur, Alia, Ahmed, and Gonzales. I just have a couple reminders and updates before we get into it. The first is that there are 2 all-gender restrooms located upstairs and 2 more here on the first floor through the sanctuary. Dance space is in the sanctuary tonight, so if you need that first floor restroom, just find me or anyone on staff and we can help get you over there. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. The season is really winding down, which is wild, but we do have a couple more weeks of events at the Poetry Project that I would really love to see you back here for. So on Wednesday, we have a really special one with Carolyn Lazard, Gilia Ronkina, and Constantina Zadistanos, which that'll actually be outside in the East Yard and will be a really beautiful occasion. It looks like it will also be like 80 degrees and sunny that day, so a really perfect time for it. And then on Friday, we're back with readings by Annalise Chen and Ben Fama. And then next Wednesday is our sort of last regular reading of the season, which is wild. And it's Peter Gizzi and John Yao. So would love to see you here again soon. And with those updates behind me, I'm really honored to turn it over now to Andrea Abi-Karam to introduce Gonzales.
Thank you, Laura. Good evening, everyone. Hi, Kay. Tonight, I have the salacious pleasure of introducing Gonzales, who I've been working with as part of the Poetry Project's Emerge Surface B Fellowship Program. First, I'll allow Gia, or as Gia and I have been referring to the subjectivity of her writing, hybrid Gia, to introduce herself. Quote, Gia Gonzales is a poisoner based in New York City, where she was born. I want to call back your attention to Gia's 2023 chapbook, Render Sleaze, which I first saw presented as a perversion of the Greek chorus, not chorus as in sing, but chorus as in players, or perhaps threesome might be a better way to describe the presentation of the work. For Gia, there's an acerbic, multiplicitous, and performative edge to every element of the work. And if you don't already have a copy of Render Sleaze, you need it. You can get it over there. In our first meeting of the fellowship, Gia and I mapped out the forces at work in her writing to detail the apexes and curves of her manuscript in progress. First, from a literary perspective, the New York School, Pamela Liu, New Narrative, Chelsea Minnis. Next, from a daily life perspective, identity, karaoke, pop songs, sex. I asked her several times over, who is Gia? In this moment, she returns to me, Gia is coy, Gia is bratty, Gia is self-deprecating, Gia is grandiose. This is a subjectivity that emerges in Gia's writing, slippery, vain, tossing off the dress of representation. What does this look like on the page? We will know soon what Gia will sound like. Gia herself, meat space Gia, engages in a highly disciplined, near-daily journaling and writing practice. She documents everyday occurrences that may otherwise go unnoticed in her memory. Gia can't help it. After all, it is a very poet activity to keep a journal, and Gia is a poet. Quote, syntax was her corsage. In order to create the poem, she then performs a self-erasure, plucking out language and phrases as she wishes. At every level, Gia is a voyeur of herself. As Gia arrives to us in the third person, the speaker then seeps out of hybrid Gia into hyper Gia, paying close attention and amplifying Gia's more disruptive and unmarketable traits. Gia refashions expected politeness into brattiness. Gia expresses astutely how the hunt for employment functions as an unfortunate interruption to anonymous fucking, how kink and impact play shot Gia out of the working day's dullness and tedium. Gia employs the architectures of language, syntax, grammar, as flirtatious gestures that instead quicken the moment, as daily refusals to reclaim her humanity throughout the day, letting an email linger on, letting a nipple disrupt the office space, poking holes in the fantasy of pride that accompanies institutional attachments. Throughout our meetings, we talked often of the ongoing genocide in Palestine, the role of the poet, the challenges of confronting one's own intergenerational experience of colonialism's consequences as historical, while the continuing and violent destruction of the Palestinian people takes over our feeds, making us witnesses, as Hala Alian writes. I have been deeply grateful for the chance to get to know Gia and her work more thoroughly over these last months, the discursive space our meetings found, the persistence of her own self-record keeping, her delight in pleasure, and her refusal to be a neat representation of herself, how Gia is a consequence. In the spirit of Gia's work, I assure you that Gia has read more books than you, has ignored more emails than you, and has had way more sex than you. Her language is dripping. Gia Gonzales is a poet based in New York City, where she was born. She is the author of the chapbook Render Sleaze, Portable Press at Yo-Yo Labs 2023, and a 2023-2024 Emerge Surface B Fellow at the Poetry Project, and an editor-at-large at Nightboat Books. Please join me in welcoming Gia Gonzales to the stage.
Jesus, I didn't tell Andrea to say any of that. But yeah, thank you so much. Andrea was my mentor for the Emerge Surface B Fellowship, and I just feel really lucky to be a part of that, and to have worked so closely with them for the past, several months. And yeah, I just have always so deeply admired, how adeptly and thoughtfully you navigate both the formal and political possibilities of poetry, and I've just always admired that a lot, and I feel really lucky to have worked with you. Um, yeah, I just feel, just like a lot of gratitude right now. So much gratitude to be reading with Kaur, and just, excited for your book to come out, and a lot of gratitude to be reading here at the project, of course, because of all of, the work that, you've done behind the scenes for, to make this fellowship possible. But I think also just, the project has been such a kind of like, at the foreground, or just a leader in terms of organizing other cultural institutions and committing to PACB. And I've seen, the work that they've done from my perspective, just like as a member of like a literary community, but also like in my capacity as, somebody working in publishing and in arts administration. So I just feel like a lot of awe and appreciation for that. So as Andrea has sort of set up, I feel I'm reading from a project that I have read in sort of a few iterations over the past year. So if you've seen me read in the past year, you've probably heard it at some point in its development. And it is like a self-titled poem, Gonzales by Gonzales. And yeah, I think just to stress, like what I'm, reading today is very much like a work in progress. But yeah, this is sort of the work I've been focusing on as an Emerge Surface B Fellow, and just really grateful to y'all for choosing to be out here tonight. Okay. Okay. It's hard not to be Gia, a self primed for astringency or sweetness. No, Gia's not the locus of production. She is that aforementioned sweetness. Gia Gonzales is a poisoner based in New York City, where she was born. But I think she is just a girl in a fallacy of good fortune. Who was she? The muff eater, and her camel coat and her caramel skin, and her raven black hair and superfluous ring. I saw Gia belligerent with drink, and I pitied her. The bra top she spins around her pointer finger is our race and our gender. She was, at her best, a talent of reciprocity, and syntax was her corsage. My name is Gia, but Gia is a kind of misnomer. Gia Gonzales is an experiment in form which took the shape of a Filipina 27 years old. She was just a girl who wrote, "It's hard not to be Gia, a self primed for astringency or sweetness." Having appropriated my manner, Gia is a squatter in my day. My first exercise would be writing my as her. I practiced her poem. The pronoun made Gia mechanical, her innuendo standard, a mangy ambivalence. She had only the appearance of dalliance. Writing is life, characterized as repartee. She could have been that beauty of the passive voice. Dresses of batik or cabbagey roses, Gia becomes that. She partook of familial patterns, occurring as a precise and florid duplicity. Stepping foot past the doorframe of her own building, Gia incites the interminable back and forth of silent discourse. For she wasn't anything that hadn't already been ascertained from her figure and the manner of dress. A mind limbed in green perceived the bobbed hair, black and blunt, meaning the table, the upholstery, sheened in plastic, discerned her easily. Bergen County. The pig's strangled head, its cooked tongue displayed through open jaws, was that aperture of memory through which Gia was sung, "O pretty woman," observing her own hair being combed and braided. Yes, imprinted on the backs of Gia's eyes were little green crosshatches of fabric hanging ethnically on Gia's bedroom wall. My brain was a crevasse and I wanted Gia to fill it, but Gia was never entering someone like me. If I could slip off her shoe and fling it desperately toward that unknowable horizon constituting the location of Gia at the end of this book. I approach her corpus. Her visage dissolves into a topic of personal interest. A first encounter could be a way to saddle oneself with the knowledge of one's own self, create a sensible container for who one was, a declaration inevitably enveloping the truth of certain facts one could be proud of. The speaking would be limited between us, a nuisance of display, yet the traction would increase wildly. A lack of cunning in attitude. I would make my way down through to her, garish with good humor, and behave, prompting her in her black hair, sweating. Her drink has mezcal in it, indicating something about her personality. I would grab her foot to suck lavishly. I would double the size of our bush, and Gia would seek my asshole with her tongue pointed, sometimes probing, or flatly lapping as I ride, for she loved to be in that place, huffing me. She cups my cock in one hand softly. She comes to mortify me in plain garters. My appendage is her derision. Her derision is my spleen of love. Beneath my hand is Gia's cunt. She's with me now. I observe her wan smile. My elastic waistband bears her name. Now a moment of disruption pulls me away from my fantasy. That was typical fodder for me, old passions, dalliances, the blithe excitement of courtship. We're fighting now in an oily, mannered way. Gia becomes little paired earrings dangling from the lobes of a woman. I could be that pasture of forms and delusions in which Gia ran freely, doggish for my love. Couched in the fortnight of her dank swoon, what I yearned for was her coinage, that glittering tender. She who'd grease my palm with it, the ching-ching of life's big grandiosity. Feverish, I practiced my language making, pleasantries mastered in quick reflex. For syntax was Gia's pompadour. My scribe refused parody of Gia's old voice rehearsal. Memory promises a reserve of something fearful left in me, images gossiping across frame of mind, bits of chismis tied through the family on decorative strings, a tita in large furs. Familial stories involve an erosion of history in the retelling. For example, there was a relation to my grandfather. There was something involving two wives. How the placid, glassine gleam of a cockroach's shell had enraptured her as a child. Now here comes that dark she again, her lucky body a duplicity little known. Gia gave way to that lilting supposing which reconstituted Gia, dried mushroom style, as our path forward through this writing. I want to be like Gia, merely the anticipatory pause like an orchestra tuning before the overture of our own identification. What Gia was the face between the part in her curtained hair, an occupation of space exactly her height and width and temperament, despite the bold convincing otherwise. There were fictive measures which could be taken in church, office, or house. We agreed better the caustic, damning choral of old hymnal than joyful acoustic exaltations, trite swells of emotion. for she could automate her job like prayer. It was as if, while saying the prayer, the mouth could move its mechanical motions, while in mind another thought occurred. This became in its way a kind of game, the possibility of continuing the prayer with one's mouth, while in mind other thought continued smugly. The amount of focus expended on maintaining a separation of mouth mechanics and mind, mouth professing its creeds and fealties to the Creator, while mind careened down its own tracks, was its own kind of meditation, both a challenge and an exercise. That duplicity, like false kindness, rote motions, any fond gesturings, while interior scaffolding remains indignant. Realizing one's ass looks great in blue jeans is perhaps a kind of meditation on the present moment. The writing was becoming harder, more difficult, and more arduous because I'd begun to create too much distance from it, same letters recurring. Yet in the re-encounter, I was excited by it again. Gia, your promises unite us together on this page. I'm following your stanzas good-humoredly, complaining not. You watched, unsure, the pained and pleasurable response like eating a chili. Gia wrote this book for me. She could enter into the apartment which we share, slim corridor, butcher block bench divided from sleeping quarters with 4 long linen panels ambling nearly to the flower. Outside wind comes whistling, a sound which I had thought occurred independent of a force against it, i.e., hadn't occurred to me that the door frame was what caused the whistling or the gaps between it, had thought it was the innate sound of wind, had somehow forgotten that this sound was not or rarely heard outside the house. Windows were certain portals to interior excesses. A plate is bounded sustenance, meaningfully approaching a window with one's forehead. But the explicative mode had begun to bore me, pressing lettered buttons until the story of Gonzales appears on the page. We liked the continuation of the family, those creeds, the formulaic prayers, arbitration around career trajectories. A room full of staticky edges is the scene to which you aspire. A convening in pressed khakis demonstrates hierarchy. She bespectacled herself with elan. Time was moving in a way so insufferable and slow, her mouth began to water. The phone would ring and a voice would materialize within it. There was being at work, which was a modality of appearing leisureless and feeling proud of one's job as if one's institutional affiliations and the places one worked, as if proximity to such places, the ability to be exploited by such places, conferred a mark of difference, specialness, whatever. Such dull fantasies, and each year a life beginning to lose the frisons of narrative, a city passing by you like so much digital static. When that string unfurls, becoming narrative, and that becoming is its own intelligence. Needing now a disruption of rhythm or song, a key changing flashily, meaning developing like sorcery. I dreamt passive forms, Gia's fucking smell, her hair, her florid, half-winded gesturings, the rereading of which felt a sweetness. Now she calls my name softly, my mind blinking her voice away. This dream sequence punctuates the logic of my narrative rhythms. Obligatory ass and titties on HBO. Now, body horror movies have been ruined by the sexual exploits of certain lesbians. But some horrors are not that dailiness we call living. Detente wheeling continuously, facetiously. Radially, I am interdicted. Being followed evokes the possumy response, untroubled, something infinitely more amusing elsewhere, anywhere else. Going forward in stealthy motions along the street and architecture of it. Featherweight belligerence was her forte in her fantasy of total ability. Now comes the rapid clapping, signifying accomplishment. An ounce of aperitif into the mixing vessel. Gia, she of admiring pretenses and assimilations, now owned something and was lowering herself slowly around my debt, which was pink, and I, usurer's antonym, came downily against the scrim of my attempted language, striking my face with her dull, flat hand, as if such motion could push us past mere acquaintanceship. Then she departs, leaving me in my satisfaction, and it had been hours. Her disrobing was movement of a lesser magnitude, a severe, soft language tied up in little bows characterized by listlessness. Gia's feeling alive in the relational McDonald's, catching her breath, becoming exerted with the heat of anonymity strangeness when fucking was grappling. America's prefab entrails come grasping through the writing until quickness comes, until writing unwrenches itself from its moors. Now a pause to find work in the United States. Passive in pursuits of life and love, my extracurricular, Gia became a gratitude I practiced daily, the magnitude of which enchants me, mangles me, makes the downy, soft heart of me come crowning through the down. Too precious, too little, too camphorous or derivative, remonstrating cutely. Writing this poem was like the simile about pulling teeth. There was that darned screed of future promising, a white ribbon of portent. She dreamt she wrote in a script so cryptic and loping, moving like time does when she fucks. It's what's happening between the dishes that is her marauding, a volumizing lash product in her hair pattern. Pretending to watch the grass, the lawn, and thistle until a sudden clarity anchors me to my name. Varietals of serial giddy Gia through one long blur of present moment stretching into now. And so on this day do I pledge to be her, Gia, a pattern of patterns like a box of Triscuits. Belief in oneself is that delusion enabling the continuation of oneself, it's so, etc. And so a feeling of disregard overtook me the way a wafting scent of tulips, roses might. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gia. I'm so profoundly excited about this extremely smart, extremely hot project. And also want to warn you all that there's only one. Did you bring more chapbooks, or was that all of them? There might. Okay, well, there's only one now, so be ready when this reading ends to be the person who gets the one remaining chapbook. And I also wanted to, it's been such an honor having you, Gia, as a fellow this year and Andrea as a mentor. This program, I think, is really special, and we'll be accepting applications again in August. So I hope that many people in this room will think about applying for the Emerge Surface B Fellowship Program, and stay tuned for more on that. And I'm now really, really delighted to turn it over to Rissa Hochberger to introduce Kaur, Alia, Ahmed.
Hi. In 2013, I met Kaur and Anne Hathaway on the same day. And we all had lunch together, which is random because she's not in our life anymore. But so yeah, as you can imagine, I was really happy and honored to be invited to introduce Kaur and not Anne here tonight. I wrote something. Kaur and I were in the water at night when a wave came over us out of the flat ocean. Under the wave, our sounds turned into bubbles and we got spread into the sand. It was a whale, we told each other. A whale splashed, and that is what made the wave. We laugh. It's easy for me and Kaur to give shape to our experience of the world with a laugh. It was a whale, and it made a wave that crashed over us. In its mysteriousness, it made us laugh, and so our laughter was also mysterious. Laughing with Kaur is like being a tuning fork that vibrates in a funny harmony with perception. It is hard to recover the mysteriousness of laughter through language, but reading Kaur's poems, I laugh at the way his words sound together, their meaning substituted for the harmony of their sounds. In his harmonies, Kaur spins language like silk across the page, weightless and tessellating between meaning and sound, word and pattern, tension and lightness. The sensation of reading feels like looking, and the sensation of looking feels like listening. What is a drawing, Kaur asks. It is a language constantly changing in response to the sounds it hears, the intimacies it refracts, memories it tickles, the smells and look and glow of the things around it. It becomes difficult to tell if the drawing is part of the surface it lives upon or if it grew from the material. I see this page through the curve of glass. I read that page in the low glow of a video. When looking and reading are interlaced, words and images transfigure the architecture of a page. Kaur's architectures are porous and translucent geometries. They wiggle when light shines through. When I pick up a piece of Kaur's language, it looks like something that was broken off of a celestial window. When I hold his language in my hand, I feel close to God. Holding it, I think, wow, it is possible to experience the divine intimately, and I laugh at the light wiggling. In what feels like the shrinking space that we have to make and to share art, and the hollowing out of art by violent and enterprising institutions, I confess that my heart sometimes strays from a belief in beauty, but Kaur has forever reminded me of what the mysteriousness of art and beauty can transform in us and for us in our struggle for the beautiful world. Thank you, Kaur, for that. I love you. Welcome here.
It's hard to start now. I feel extremely lucky to get to do life with you. And really lucky to read here at this space, which is really special to me and has so much integrity. Thank you, Laura, for inviting me, and Noah and Mel for helping set this up too, and everyone else at the project. And thank you for coming. I am going to read some poems that are from my book. So a lot of them are actually pretty old, spanning like six years old, and then some are from, there's like one from last week. And my book includes drawings in it, which you will see in a certain version. Yeah, I'm just gonna start and let it, and probably not stop till the end. This is how much I miss you talking. Swift flap eager and hungry, dripping with forward focus. You stitched yourself along the bridge to reach, to stand not upon, but above the peak and its shimmer. Wild wanderer, risking a lullaby, and stay there, hiding just to peer into the waters, the original ultramarine, where spectral, sponge-tinged turtles were rising from the blue. There, the taut static of nature at its lowest, humming, veering frequencies, baseless declarations. A great gasp of your forearms, a laugh at you, but nice, absorbing the liminal, moving the pause. Steps forward, a train sleeping so fast, a puzzling finesse. How could you help falling out of yourself on such lust for the color of glass? You, involuntary normals, imagine concrete, a burning light. Wax refuses to budge in the face of the overeager, the endearing greed of wanting the moon in the day and the sun in the night. This is how much I miss you talking. Flutter, azurient, ready, sweating towards it, you belted yourself with the bridge, to grasp, to be not at, but of, the core and its glimmer. Boundless imaginary, harmonic priority. Then pause there, veering just barely to glimpse the moon-spun river, the truth of silver, where iridescent, barnacled turtles were rising from the blue. There, the stretched dust of cosmos at its ground, purring, arching measure, erratic exclamations. Your wingspan's deep inhale, our secret banter, soak up the threshold, kindle the still. Walk closer, a chariot, slowness and crash, delicate trick. How could you stop tumbling past yourself under thirst for a mirrored answer? You, compulsive usuals, chimeral bond, low flame, overcome motion, against leaky yearn, a charming lust of wanting the moon in the day and the sun in the night. This next poem is one that I used to read a lot. This is the soup poem. Some might know. Thought maybe I had read it too many times, but it feels right to read it at this. I am perched at a bus stop where 511-23 will not respond, nonchalant, and I take time to sip the air of pause and calculate my own game of monotony. Finding stark faith amongst the youth, at play, pushing paint, never receiving. Our new friend asks if I am a power sub. I yell no. Sand coats the motion of my most tender channel of adrenaline. Must romance only jolt into the frame in bursts, only stand under golden light? The right edge of your cheek, saturated peach cocktail, suddenly vibrant and hard inside styrofoam. A deeply dappled contrast. A cup dependent on crumbles, dependent on the hug of dots. I suppose we depend heavily on gas for motion, for rest, love, laughter. Nothing solid has ever supported me. To weigh heavily on something is to decide its shape. Seal soup in Pyrex and silicone decides its only purpose is to be reportioned, reheated, to get dizzy and bland. I like to imagine how expansive and free-limbed my soup could be if poured upon the floor of a yoga studio. Crimson, fatty droplets pinching into each other, bay leaves, charred chilies, butter beans, beets, peppercorns, ground beef, rolling freely, playing as if I created my own tasty aquatic society. Salt water, full-bodied, eventually seeping into the edges of the mirrored walls, astonishingly infinite, the ultimate stretch, liquid, the Kundalini champion. I read a wise thing, desire exceeds any container. Or I can never find the matching lids. A gruesome, hopeful part of me believes in hypocrisy, can describe the life of a white man as a genre. I wonder what nonfiction looks like through light-colored contacts. Behavior listed as a medical issue on the health form, something contagious. At times, I feel proud to experience bouts of mania like anything is possible. Music becomes perplexingly close. My sideburns furrow, flows in my wrist. Then, ripped from the minute, my surroundings weep. On a pale orange evening, I bracket your cheeks with my wet eyes. Pillow, pillar, plucking my velour string of longing. Bent grapes, sleeping grapes, resting plums, snoring blueberries. Sleeping blueberries, resting grapes, snoring plums, sleeping bumbleberries. A lance in my slide, bleeding, a number for a mouth never doubling over. What would I want wings for? At this point of sight in the valley, there's a nervous wind tower, unmoving, purpose planted in clay. A long gust reflects the fish stream, shifting only thinner. Looking at it through a clear engraved clock face, no hands, with pale breaths, chronology begins to loosen up. Fissure, a wall, toned matte grays, coated in high-gloss resin, its core erased by unfolding. Standing on the exact same spot at the exact same time. Among everyone on the dance floor, someone dripped the ends of their full-bodied movement into the crook of my neck. Spinning yells, a field on steep angle, sharp plastic, drawing blood on lips, the flaming rock, my echo of your gushing love words to me. In this thick weather, all droplets are rendered the same, my disbelief predicted by the flattening. Feet without shoes, soaking, the floors the ice of summer. All matter in seconds, pine needles sprout from my fingertips, a thin gauze grows over the limbs. Vision in semi-colors, fear, syncopated, maybe when you fell out of it. Fissure, recalibrated chatter, veiled airplane, hemorrhage, sweat in the eyes. Talks and talks and talks, spins, take your medicine, hair curlers, spin thoughts, everything flat, dead, neutral, gray that laps purple, only curves industrially, factory, so many living parts, money. Would be cool to return to that raw, giggling phase, like putting pillows all over your senses to go to the moon, making out just to make out, nobody trying to make you, just tongue play. No more of that nostalgia. These things were not stolen. You are lost now, at this moment, at 6:23 p.m. Ever so blue within technology, limited fog, covered in scanner codes. Would be cool to get back to that raw state of not needing to describe immediately after. Inconsequential, and therefore in touch with later moments in life, thoughts on the spiritual, on objects of assumption, on displacement. Culturally appropriating from my own grandmother. Sick thoughts, pretending I don't know how to put throat in pronouncing my last name. Thoughts in the raw feeling. Lying in a sensory deprivation pool. $50 an hour costs a lot to lose yourself. Me, a child still trying to restore some sort of blurry eyesight. Wear no glasses at the computer. Letting blocks blur, lines overlap. Restored, stronger than the loss as it's remembered, a new separate life of its own. Politics of a hypothetically official color, holographic, seriously reflective, absorbent too, brings people back to life, they say, the great ones. Mashallah, unquestioning, thankful for trembling, thankful for the purr and grunt of an automobile, Thankful we don't always produce throttling death, though we usually do. Must we then pick up the pieces? How to do this if things fall into each other? Intertwined puzzle, the most significant, blinded by windows. Those who don't experience fear don't let me have it. The old modes creeping up through the floor. I don't want you to touch me, even if you're my family, even if you're close to me, know the language. Sticky winter. I will teach your children only. I won't lose my hard gaze, me restless and full of a libido that will never involve you. Somewhere in a flat land, dust creeps in when we push our beliefs. Death crows, rolls into reddened earth, slaps everyone in the face. No reassurance we can turn somehow. Nobody asked me to stay here, and I don't have to. There isn't space enough. But I want to be mildly original, to change my name for fun, not fear, but still fear, going to make it fun. I asked my parents if I could be Mowgli, a shirtless little boy, if I could be named Bungalow, something airy, balanced, horizontal. The stage set of history, not enough dimension for you to step up. Lovely lists of things that have been done, compiled into great collections, hours of paint, silence, hours of handheld beauty, of complacency. And then we faint, sigh back, finally able to see only dark, yelling, panting in cold air so as to see my anxiety out loud. The radical ladies sleep well this week, blend into comfort, protected, match the walls. I'm here, confused on Fridays, foul on Sundays. Let me love flight. Let me fear as you fear, a little glimpse of a language. Sounds harsh, you say, kind of hard on the tongue. March on for her. Don't speak to me, don't speak to my brother, don't ask me about my childhood, don't share me. I don't want me in your paragraph. Is this better, you think, sound-wise, for it to go up here? No? Okay. I don't know, I can't hear myself. I would like a giant bird to just chill on my chest. Bitch, everything you do turns to pearl. If memory could bloom, fold down the flurry and catch its corners in the smile you can't prevent. I'm happy, happy with your sheepish purr. Pull hard again on my morning, one more dash of miracle chain. Embodiment, not a place to reach. It only felt bad when I was with you. It felt only bad when I was with you. Knees on your back hold you in child's hose. Boring in power somehow. Wake up, study the aesthetics of stand still. No mystery in reassurance other than why you think I need that. Right now, I prefer urgent care over self-care, but uninsured, I guess, what I can seek out is organic cleaners, massage, cosmetic drugs, and a tank top that heats the swell with or without compression. How can you suggest I'm chilling when this pattern starts to grow for me? Bitch, if only we had wands for hands. Sip on your answer, let it live long. Tighten roots of need, free wheels of need. Pull once more on the dusk chain. One more sparkle, one more forgiven. My leash is endless water, escaping flame. A gnaw wrung out finds itself a confession. The wall grows lights, slowly sighs, becomes a wash. Each number falls down from the circle. The spiral deep throats the pen. You told me so. Rest, melody, freeze, trust. Harmony bites, vibrato flosses, aria belays, tempura curdles, rasa teases, raga watches, arabesque slices. Beauty is in the split of wind, laughter in the saxophone, something in the ridden moan, in tempered begging, return to the mouth and resist once more. Make pigeons of your truth. If forging this whole, I'll fill you with what I can give. at least light, at best force. Crack the ancient code of this plane, the very angle, the missing tooth. The hood of the car flies up just before Verrazano, my form of video game. It could happen again, it could happen all at once. My vision, my opal, swirled colored smoke from the egg. Die again, again. Balled up numerals, edging till you simply must, and the accelerator goes without my pressure. The fire curves blue and gasps at the archway, feline oval, water's edge. Let the truth go free. If masking this void, I'll fill you with what I can give. At least salt, at best glue. Leak the mystic scripture of this level, specific measure, the last piece. My windshield a haunting, my frame of sight infected, I figure a distance. Could happen again, it could happen at any moment, corrupt visions. My opal, colored smoke swirls from the egg. It dies again, dividing the answer. Let go in cacophony, one light touch. The fire swallows the arc, pierced water tails, comes to reach space. Rhapsodomy, bell, bitter greens, forked tongue says twin statements and identifies my other half, or part, like hair can't middle at all lines. My folded auburn chair, my phantom thrust. I hope you'll will my overtaking and pool it into been haven taken, grant ghouls this present and mirrored past. A table makes mention of Eden in all its luxurities, indulgences, and the moment is bitten, the forbidden pair. Scroll into the next heart, unwind the stairs of God. Gauze and feathers, wail dargents as I spark, a skin of wilter, a mist of cause, looking around myself. What if I were to start, like, as a transsexual? No, as a votive candle, I blink heat as it bloods your curiosity. I drip slowly, just to make certain. The wave rolled dice, fasts for luck, cushion beauty's gore of devastation. Copy your spell. Trenchant reduction, analogous brush, jinx box, stiff. Nothing of waiver sits in the parting, to shy from concretion. You had to know that nothing orates water. Suspense elsewhere, a pliable trace. Imagine wire wailing, another steel window. To lake my inside is another body pliable. I was a sample, a paradigm nodding near clues. I was genetically pistolate, though this was in vain. Whose voids are these in plea? Else plunges into the when and hugs itself, won't come out. Here's the null in pose, arouse in the air of the other. Ask for the music of music. Draw the waver in the blow at face again and again, and chime the shock of it approaching. From the unseen edge, cracking one bone on a slip in the familiar plane, have a blue fit, the mind's ear. Copy your spell, callous miniature, parallel pen, charm lock, not one quiver at division, I shy from concretion. A winged hymn, come through and take off. I don't know, does wind express water? If it leaves, waves and trace, this step strikes another. Imagine the fence walking, lines fold, to rein my circulation. Is a further body possible? I was a loosened present, a pattern evading the clue. My center void of pollen, no anther, no filament, but okay, let's scar the cursor. Whose voids are these? there and this run from now. Ask for the love of love. Paint the falter, ring its arrival. Is there an object? Crack the bones of the familiar plane, scrunch it, throw it to a bluer place. The mind's here. As if a given time could bear us all at once. Desperation is an avalanche. With shame, I do my little dance. With shame, I arrange my steps. Does change lick the wounds, or does it adjust the light? If to find you where wind lands at the end of a moment, do you repeat your secret? Allow it to notice its shiver, its dexterity. Closed, the thing that hurts starts to protect you, or you relieve you of yourself in metal. Your sex begins to protect you. And is this secret honesty, or do I ooze out of function, used to presenting a result? Does the rotation dismiss its understudy? Does the shift idle the lesion, or does it adjust the light? To arrive at where breath sits still in puncture, do you confess it again? Let the released reflect on its rapture, its muscle. Braided, ignited first, and so protects you. Or you loosen your being as exquisite armor. In sex, you start to correct you. And what of the confessed can it be truly? Or do you curve past, posing as an end? I didn't intend to ooze. I didn't mean to tell you, but I showed you by concretion. I showed you by secretion. What I mask and release by living around you. The around is made and released by living, separating, elaborating, leaking the substance. Peace, love, unity, respect. Peel love unto regret. Please luck under reset. Our protein misfolded. I do not know a signal past mechanical wounding. In order to possess my pain, I'll plant this, my limbs on constant alert. I make sounds so animal, they send me. Beneath a holy, wailing moon, I assume a better self, hypersensitive. Rescue the deer before they meet windshields, take antlers to the mouth, give wings to terrible people so as to have them feel something at all. But I can't. I acclimate to drier air. Chin hairs spring like the pines. My heart softens, rice in a pot. There are so many ways to be invisible. There are many terrible ways of being visible. But with this, I count how lucky we are for any surface of shine, any chance of reflection. A weak cosmic ray relents a message. Give me all your soft tissue, all your resilience. Murder is to mitosis, is to mercy. Lick my arms for a chance of salt. Despite the bark of another, the dog runs to meet the sounds of shock. Sobbing becomes the air. Agitate, the microphones say, but nobody moves. I might have told you I was guided, drew a set of drawings last spring, filled a whole pad, felt my hand guided by force, shapes and visions, haptic pitches, my hand skating on the fog, a song unfolding as I moved through and with it. I was convinced it was a divine intervention. I went to trees and bathed in a stream, pushed a car out of the mud, fearing time running out. I was high and I was manic, dipped every finger into candles, found myself biking through the city, a couple 6 a.m.s in peach light, mapping birds, finding centrifugal force in every circling. I hadn't slept for days, but that reassemblage is not nothing. We move through the divine anyway. Gave me nothing to answer. Truth in the netted connection of Velcro, trip a lusher look, rip and parse faith. Tongue makes loose claims on condition of hydration and nebula of the day. Belief that vibrates at second sight of my outstretched palms. locust behind, eyes in a pulley cycle of coaxing, the strings of dusk visible in pluck by the other senses. Something mistaken for something. There's a wobble in the moon's orbit. Don't want to move on. Let it all come in. Take me in as though you'd chew the seeds before hesitance, encircling a bolt. Butterfly the eclipse, cunt flexible tract, signal a likely structure. Insist you consider this moment once more at a later time. Order the color and passion, a rasa unique to the raga in question. Delude me better. Do not forget, play the moment as a freed engraving. Skate webs of needles on euphony. They could say the risk of your eye-laden mouth, the fluke of your drifting thigh, more alluring, more exquisite than potent thunder, giving side to rigid rock. The observers at loss in midst of sharpened petals, their mother's song nudged into improper hands. They sold the familiar vegetable at the wrong stand. Someone with ears for it, I want to know the little ones can counter. Crash sales of mixing and gift shop and massage division's very first bend. Awash with my wrist at your chin, nod your sight to my lips part on you. Away from my fingers, stained sun by dal and rice. Been dangling the same kind of exigent wonder in the wash of pollen, in suckling the warming spices, allium, sweat, and slip around the corner behind the knee, a slicked lust column. My hands make mouthfuls, grains of rice, slightly lower head sideways. The spoon pouts for attention. With much exuberance, the pain, a close light, runs to the joy. Sound the buttered bell, a jagged peel, feet in and out like the ground is hot and exciting. Or are you supposed to hear this? Too curious to cut motion. Can't bear to, couldn't bear to, won't bear not to. The ecology of alias as arias in ringing flesh. Giggle game, my frightened pleasure. I'm cool with it complete, supposing I'm cool with the air putting us in sight. I wish to glimpse the raving clouds at their last supple dance. Actually, she said, we might find the chanterelles closer to the road, where azuriance rushes my tiptoes, makes spores of awe. To measure our sonnets, I slid fury, the mostly comma, the caution, shawl shaping sorted, a stick's pulse, a forgive me light. If we could purse sweat, bait, landscape, make miniature sanctity, a sad carcass in sarcasm, tools to spin spit like it could share itself as fabric. Truth plume, eager to stumble, diving off the edge a bit. The new doja is wavy, is bumping, is making me want to dance in a space simply see each other happy, is making me swoon tears at every regular shake of branches in the sky. Bloom type speak, myriad encounters at the bud, actually could thicken the tail and hold my hands behind my back, really expecting to feel something there, a lace up of fur and muscle. Enlightened mentally stable, I refuse a definable state. Rekindle as plastic carnage, mirror rust. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaur. That was so, I feel so awake. That was so beautiful. I'm so excited for your book. I'm so grateful for tonight. Thank you so much, Gia. Thank you, Rissa. Thank you, Rissa, sorry. Thank you, Andrea. I really feel, and thank you all so much. I could feel the intentness of your listening, and it was really, really beautiful. I look forward to seeing you again really soon. Thank you. Night.